like all new skills have to be taught. Okay, so thank you all very much for bringing your. And we've got, she's getting ready right now, Virginia.
Yes.
Is our last group, is our group that is with us. We love you out there. We can't see you, but we know you're there.
They're back. We had to log back off, so hopefully they'll be back on.
Okay. But for the rest of the group,
For the rest of the group, let me give a shout out to our virtual peeps. They have really been patient with our technical issues, but they've made the adjustments. They've adapted, and so that's a good thing. So some of the things, I'm going to share out your information by taking pictures so that they can see yours. And here are a few of theirs. There was they talked about visuals being everywhere. And it was almost like, wow, visuals for everything is awesome. So they could see the visuals on the wall, and they started to discuss kind of back and forth other things that they could do to take that a step further. There was mention of your Galvanting's idea of the noodles. They were able to see
the restroom noodle.
Yes, they love that. They also wanted they were very impressed, or they couldn't believe how the students, even though they were with different people and the classroom looked different, they were able to adapt. And the main thing they kept saying was, I am amazed at how the students responded to being able to explore. They kept saying, the flexibility of the two trainers with the students to allow them to explore. And one person even said that once they were able to explore, they quickly moved on to what they needed to do next and quickly grasped the expectation. So the whole idea of exploring was awesome. They thought, and I think that's about it. They started saying, I miss my kids.
when we got to school. So we have several things that we need to discuss as far as the results of the questions that we had and what are the additions we need to make. And so we're going to get on with that. Lisa, do you want us to talk about the list of things that we're using now, or do we want to do the case study? It's okay, so let's talk about the things that need to be revised. Our group that did the physical environment and set up the areas, where are you? This group here. Y'all feel like the areas that we set up were well defined, or they need some adjustment?
It flowed very nicely. Just by looking in the visual, just looking at it, you can definitely tell where one started, and then started, and the tables, the early morning, the kids, all that, and it flowed. You actually, say, okay, they're doing this here, putting on clothes here, they're at a table here working on strategies.
So far, y'all think that, is everybody in agreement that the physical actual layout is pretty good?
I was thinking, what if we did colored electrical tape to kind of show that little boundary or like an invisible doorway of that center?
Right.
Like you're in this center, and that, I don't think I can, like Chris was bouncing with, and I know he wanted to be talking, but from here to that center and that center, but if his little thinking chosen was that center at that time, maybe in a few days he would understand, oh, I'm here in this center, this is my little room.
So there's different layers of physical structure in it. You can add layers, but adding color and adding tape and lower level physical structure is a good way to go. But overall, we don't need physical boundaries that are larger. But let's look at the possibilities of adding a little bit more definition to the areas. And also the areas are labels. Let's talk about the labels. We had a little bit of a glitch in getting everything done because we had to take the pictures of the areas. Those labels need to be laminated, correct? And they need to be all the way in the areas. So when I go in to put my icon on the label, I'm in the room, so I know where I'm supposed to be. And a little strip of Velcro at the bottom of every label. so that it can receive those labels and icons and all new ones. Sometimes we go ahead and put one little label already there too. So we have the large label, we have a strip, and then we already have one icon there. So it kind of shows them where I put the next one. So we need to add labels to the areas. We need to make sure they're in the areas. We need to have a place for them to be received. Let's also talk about the class schedule. How did y'all think that went overall? The icons were a good size. That schedule is not going to hold the whole day. It's going to hold just chunks of the day. But tomorrow, we're just going to be providing a chunk of the day. So are there any changes that you see that we need to do as far as how we're presenting the class schedule? One thing that one group brought up is we need to have another meeting added at the end of the day before we leave. So we might look at that. Lisa, is there anything else?
I don't know that we really saw much of this.
That's what I'm thinking. I don't,
Because
when I saw
that
it,
was
it
the,
at all.
we came in literally when y'all were doing, the meltdown video. So we really didn't get to see like, y'all going over what the schedule was for the day. I know y'all did it, we just.
Okay,
missed
so
it.
let's, this afternoon at 3, before we leave, let's go ahead and set up the schedule for the tomorrow so we can go through that and make sure that we're all on the same page.
And I do have it on video, it's just gonna take a while to get it uploaded, but it is.
Was Laura playing in the sensory area?
I didn't get to see that either.
Yeah, I wanted to see that because they were engaged big time, and she stayed there.
That was actually the highlight that I wanted to share at the end.
Oh, okay.
Because that was where I reconnected
Oh,
in a way that she started to see me as an agent
Wow.
of getting things done for her. And then I was able to use it forward with her. She started, that was the first time that she started to communicate effectively.
really? Okay.
And then at the end, I have so much I want to say right now, so I'm trying to say it to the end, but thank you for asking that question. I'll come back to it a little bit more.
Do you want to go ahead and do that before we?
No, finish.
She's gonna probably want to add more about Aurora, but individual schedules, did you like the way, where they were located in the room? Did you think that that was at the location was
I
good?
felt like it was a starting line or something.
Okay, so it's like in a good location. What about the transition markers?
Definitely more available.
Okay, we need more transition markers, like 8 or 8 of each probably, right? Because we're gonna lose
But we have all the pictures.
the transition markers. Okay, let's talk about where those transition markers go. Did y'all notice that they might have had a little bit of difficulty putting those in that little pocket? What's something we might do instead? A basket, a basket or a cup at the top or at the bottom? At the- Okay, so they're saying like a basket at the bottom, so they can just drop the icons into that. But the transition marker receptacle, does it need to be larger as well? Yes, so let's put a cup or something larger for them to put the transition markers in. Maybe, are they gonna match those icons from the schedule to the label in the area? Or are they gonna, somebody said about a basket to drop them in.
I think it has to be that one-to-one concept.
Okay, so Raquel's saying they probably need that one-to-one concept as initially to match it to the location so they know that where they're supposed to be. So revisions for individual schedules is to make sure that we have enough of the icons and they match to the location. What about the mini schedules? How did that go with y'all? What is were your observations about the mini schedules in the morning meeting?
Again, we only saw that last, yeah. that
I thought it was
last-
really pretty good though.
I saw the schedule when you were at the table, the teacher guided activity, that little triangular schedule.
Right, that little mini schedule? And how did you think that?
I think that worked pretty well, that you were introducing that to them and they were kind of looking at it. And then what were you putting in the back, the finished part?
When it's done, it goes, it's one to the back. And then the class, the morning meeting schedule, it was a checklist. When it was over with, the check went on until they were finished. And we could add on. So any revisions there? Communication, we had the choice board.
Are you gonna give it to us folks, those revisions?
They're gonna get those, yes. So whoever made the schedules can do the revisions and the labels, is that right? And the individual schedules, they need to be, okay. And then communication, the choice boards. How did that go? We kind of need to work on that a little bit, but overall, what are your thoughts? It went pretty good.
I think it's just something, I think it's something new.
It's something new. We might want to limit the number of choices at first,
Maybe two.
maybe to 2, okay, and see how that goes. How's that? And social stories, we used the social narrative today. We read that story about working with new people. Is that something we want to add on to? We did the who's here and who's not there.
I felt she was going through it. Yeah, we didn't hear it, but I.
Yeah.
saw that.
Anything else, team, for social skills? So the main thing,
Our social story, could that be shared with the parents so they can go over with them on their phone or their tablet? Like, listen,
Absolutely.
at home, let's see what you're gonna do tomorrow, so you can remember.
social stories to help prime them for the next day at school, social stories at school to help them know when we're gonna have vacation or time's off. So that collaborative effort, and just being sure that the parents understand the recipe for writing a social story, that it needs to be descriptive. And we can provide them with some information about that as well, so that they can help keep it simple and make it informative and work.
So we're
I think
running
the
a,
social story in the beginning and then at the end, if you do a meeting at the end, would help to show the ending part of the social story again.
Okay, so add a social story at the end.
in writing a social story and sharing it with parents, when we would do social story, again, I'm coming from the older kids, perspective. If we always had to individualize, Bobby, da-da-da-da-da-da. So when you do that so you would do that for every single one?
It's in their perspective, it's from their point of view. It's like, this is me drawing a picture of myself being successful in this experience. So,
Yeah, take a picture of all of them.
okay, Lisa, I'm gonna turn this over because you're gonna share out your most exciting moments for Aurora. And there were so many.
And you go with Chris first. What's yours?
Well, Chris was, I must say, the cutest thing ever. And he did want me to chase him. I know that he did. And he would like me to smile and look. Chris had so many moments. He's one of those kids that you just spend a little bit of time with him. You can see there's a lot there. I mean, his knowledge of the letters, he is in and out of order and sequence. The letter, the colors, numbers, shapes. He was even playing with it, going around and finding things out. He's very interested. I'm sorry?
He's just figuring out stuff.
You can just see it, click on, click on, click on. So it is, one of the things I think was very powerful with Chris, and he's a good teacher, he does have some functional oral language. And so people would say, why are you using the visuals so much with a student? Why are you using the yes or no? Why are you doing the choice board? Because he's obviously got some, what do you think my response to that is?
Well, because it helps, because he needs it.
Because of reciprocity?
It helps, yeah.
You
It
need
helps.
all the modalities available. You just don't stop. You just.
Anything that helps.
It's a jump start. And providing those supports is like training wheels. Providing those supports is creating a support system so that that language can take off. So we're wanting to put supports in place to increase the language rather than demands in place to force the language. So that's the main thing. He's a good teacher. He's going to be a great teacher as far as communication and language is concerned, and sensory needs as well. But Chris was a great kid. Lisa, you want to talk about Aurora?
I do, because we heard a lot about be careful with the shells, right? She's a climber, she loves to go on the shells. Did anybody see that?
No.
Thoughts? What are your thoughts?
It's because there's so many.
She was everywhere.
No,
when
it's
she
actually
was
because
not
the
big.
room is, once she gets a little more comfortable, she will, but maybe she won't.
Okay. Well, how about sensory interest? She fun on any?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, those
I don't
names are
have a
good.
direct lineage, like, because of everything we did today, she didn't climb. I just think it's interesting to take note of the profile, to take note of day one, and see where it goes from here, because that was not an issue at all. We saw huge success with her when we had her train transition from this sensory room that we thought she was gonna just wanna stay forever. As soon as I knew there was a transition marker, she took it and we went. And I was ready to have that moment of what I will call pairing, I'll let you call it negotiations. I was ready to have it with her because, first day, she's 4, right? Or she 5?
She's 4.
She's 4. I was ready to say, okay, we'll give you a few more minutes, but no, she saw it and we went. And then the last thing I want to mention, because we want to thank y'all for being patient and understanding the technology, the fact that y'all weren't in the classroom, yet y'all picked up on so many things that I didn't think y'all would notice. There were a lot of things that you couldn't see because the camera wasn't there, so thank y'all for being patient and flexible. But the one of the comments was that we didn't really follow through on asking them what to do. We would just say, okay, well, that didn't work, let's go here. And we do that purposely because number 1, it's day 1. Number 2, how old are they?
3 or 4.
3 and 4. Number 3, this is their summertime. They're doing us a favor, come here and be our guinea pigs. Is not a good term for children, but you know what I mean. They're here to help us to learn as educators. So we appreciate that. And we want to honor their families and them to be as flexible as we possibly can. But she did something today when I asked her to clean up in that area that we were at, that Mr. G was asking, what were y'all doing over there? We were doing a lot of, do you want more? Taking out, dumping in, taking out more things, dumping those. And there was a lot of stuff dumped out, and I was willing to leave most of it, but I said, let's put these away. And as soon as I started to model and ask her, she did. So we didn't follow through on everything. We did offer support, and when we got a little bit, that was good enough for us today. Tomorrow, I might build more, expect more. Next day, if I were her teacher, like you have the honor and wonderful privilege to do, I would maybe expect more 2 weeks from now that, would be sky high. So building positive momentum.
And she wasn't that way, like when we first got her, it was hand over hand with screaming to pick up, I'll pick up 2, you pick up 3 kind of thing. And so she's come a long way.
Absolutely.
It's amazing to hear that she was helping.
We get the benefit of all y'all's work, to be quite honest, because did she cry a little bit when she left Mama? Of course.
There's
You know?
anxiety, but she got over it.
I don't want to leave Mom. As soon as she turned the corner and saw, oh, I'm home. And you weren't there, but your home was, your environment was, and that spoke to her in a loving and kind way. So we again want to say thank y'all to y'all for giving us the gift of your room and your children, and we just have so much to celebrate. So do you think today was a overall success, given that it was day 1, or do you think it was just the pits?
No, it's an overall success.
I'm forcing y'all to say that, of course. Okay. Well, then let's look at the other thing I do want to say is, because not everything would work the way we want it to work in 2 or 3 months from now. But the sensory room, we did have a lot of free choice. We did let them kind of discover on their own. And that was my first time to see all the beautiful centers that they've set up. So I was kind of like, oh, no, what's in here? So I got that completely. Later on, we did go to the choice board. We did start somewhere, and then we had free choice. In the high scope approach, that's how they do center time. You start somewhere, and then you go wherever you want, because you're 3, 4, and 5 years old, and that's how children learn, is through exploration. I'm going to tell you all about a school that I got to, I didn't get to go, but I got to learn from the teachers there. Their whole school is outside all day, every day. They have canopies for weather, but all the kids who are 3, 4, and 5 learn outdoors, and they can go wherever they want. So I just want us to think big and broad, and I know that we're not all here ECSE folks, but if we are, we have got to get on board the developmental train and say, we know young children's brains are different. We know young children with special needs brains are even more different. And so being accommodating, supportive, and understanding is huge. So with that, we now have a check our schedule moment because we're going to do our case study. We have a lot to get done today, so this is not going to be long. It's going to be fairly brief, but in as I guess comprehensive terms as I can give you, but very specific as well. So I'm going to start with the word pairing. Remember, I asked y'all to write that down? Yep. Turn to a partner sitting next to you and tell them what you think that word means in terms of behavior.
Pairing.
Not just pairing your shoes,
Maybe putting.
pairing in terms of behavior. Turn to a friend or two.
They doesn't see like a mimicking and pure educated. Look, he's doing something, and say, one that knows what's happening, that's what I need. Yeah. Kind of that concept.
and then
Well, here, Bobby.
low to high. Pairing
Bobby
low
says
to
he
high.
was supposed to do that. I said, why didn't I use that a little more time on the one with the bigger kids, because one that really is really good and goes by the rules and is a helper and everything else. She helps you and hey, it was a good thing to do. Don't do that. So it's very, yeah, yes. And they help and you're gonna get a week report paper and, yeah.
Okay, let's see what you think. This group over here, what are some of your thoughts? What do you think pairing might be? That's a good start. And there's no wrong answer. So two people. Could be one. Thank you for getting started. What's something else you think it might be?
I said maybe preparing, kind of puts on this stage, a little part, prepare the response. What they were doing, the direct response.
Okay, so pairing sometimes involves people, sometimes involves things. Like, where we're going with this, over here, where's that?
Well, Christy and I kind of talked about, like, if you see a behavior start to occur, find, like something positive to try to get them out of that behavior before it blows up into something larger.
Try to support them where they're at to prevent the further escalation. Over here.
And we're kind of thinking more pairing high and low students together. For example, we had a student that was going to inclusion, and even though she was like one of us really high in our area, she was low when she went to inclusion. So when she paired with a peer, she started to come up from being that lower to the area of that other student's abilities. From a student in play,
And so really that's a peer kind of.
peer interaction. So we can even do that in our own class.
Are you part of that conversation?
Well, no, we
Oh,
kind
right
of,
here.
we were talking pretty much the same thing, but having the peer one and help. And a lot of times in my situation, when you have the one that's a behavior a little higher will teach the other one, oh no, we're not supposed to do that, we're supposed to do this. And kind of that positive role model thing.
Connecting, just connecting, in general, connecting, I don't know, apples to bananas and their fruit, I guess that's the only thing I could think of, as they're connecting.
Take
a piece of everything that everybody said and put it all together, so kind of, okay. I'm gonna put it in, take what you have, your notes, and add this to it, because now I'm gonna go into applied data analysis and scientific research behind the first area. Not even the answer I have created is a gateway.
Before, I am so sorry.
Excuse me.
There were two people who had questions that were on in the classroom that I didn't see. So could we do that before you do it here? Sure. The first question is regarding the blue covers. Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna be
Online.
I mean, hello again to our visual people. We're glad that you're back.
Good, anybody else?
Yes.
I love the way you refresh. The first question is, I bought blue covers for the room. Are they actually, for the lights, are they actually allowed in the district?
Yes.
Yes, make sure you get with your administration and they will guide you on what to do.
All right, our next question. This person noted all hands-on material. We often have some that tear or bend material, but they know how to work on the computer. Is there a program you know of that uses strictly visuals online other than board paper? Lisa or Angela, you want to address that?
Programs in particular, there's Pixel Selector, PICTO Selector, we're looking at just for visuals, different
Right.
visuals that access free.
Right.
That's a free resource, it comes in different.
What was-
What was it? PICTO, Pixel
Hold on.
dash Selector, SELECTOR. You do have to download, it takes a bit of space, but once you have it, it's free and. So that's
And
what-
then we also have the, they're on, inside your folder for blue, I was gonna say Blue's Clues.
Wow, wow.
Inside your program for visually speaking, on Google Drive, there is a folder that has an awesome, resource. It's got a green cover and it says resources. And you can download free resources. So that you also have access to that. In addition, you should have an email that came in during the spring that gives you your symbol sticks login, which is the district has paid for. Now I'm gonna let Lisa and Angela address the use of those manipulatives for kids because I guess I'll give a counter question. Even though it may be difficult sometimes to use hands-on materials, is that necessary for some students? And since if it is, what do you do about it?
Make a lot of them.
Make a lot of them?
And assess your students to understand what they understand, because getting the visuals right is so critical. And also don't be afraid to make your own. You know, you can cut the label of the Oreos, you can't draw, you can find photographs, you can go to Google Images. There's a plethora of ways of things and resources that are available. Do to Learn has free ones as well.
That's in the resources, I think.
But the idea is this, just do it. Just do it. Just draw it, just make it happen, and then build on it. It doesn't have to be perfect.
And the durability issue, use sticker tape, use sticker laminating sheets if you can. But the bottom line is, what does the student need? And so it may be somewhat frustrating, but again, you teach through and you move through.
A lot of times it's because they're manipulating it every day that
It's wear and tear.
It's wear and tear, yeah.
Just like that, right?
I don't know about.
I'm gonna speak for myself.
So thank you for everything. Those questions help tremendously. To go into this next, we didn't even plan this, but to go into this next story. I would like to introduce you to Joshua, and I'll tell you how I met Joshua first. As y'all know, Angela, Lindsay, and I are traveling teachers. We go into classrooms when we are called upon to support you. So when we go to you, we ask you what's happening, what's working, what isn't working. And that's what I got to do. And you're going to see Rebecca, who is a first-year teacher, who is his teacher, and this was in about February in the school year. So when I met her, she said, I'll do anything you tell me, but I just want you to know I'm not cut out for this. I've been hurt, the kids are getting hurt. This class is a class of 14 self-contained students, 3 of them in wheelchairs, 1 medically fragile. And Joshua is having such aggressive behavior that several people have been hurt, and they're getting ready to go to ARD to recommend that he be removed from the special ed self-contained setting into a room by himself with a teacher in there. So you kind of get the gist of how severe it was. I'm telling you that because the teacher's not going to tell you that on tape. She said, I don't want to make him sound like a monster, because he's not. But the data showed about 10 times a day, I thought about your guy with the aggression, and he's a choker and a biter and a hitter and a kicker and a rover. He's got all the teaching Olympic star of behavior. So I walk in, and what do you think?
Can I ask you a quick question? Do they learn that? I mean, where do they get that kind of stuff from to begin?
Where do people get things from their?
I guess at home, what they see at home or on TV?
How do we get our behavior?
What we see.
And what else?
TV,
How you feel?
Yeah.
How you feel? What do you need? Why are you doing what you're doing? All these same questions are just human nature, human behavior. And these are children's words. I really want to emphasize that. We keep talking about behaviors and these, monsters, to use some people's language. These are children. And our job is to recognize that first and deal with all that comes with them in a humane, loving, kind way with a specific plan in place. I'm not here to do whatever you want, no. But I have to understand this comes from somewhere, and where is that thing? That's where your ABC data is so critical. There are antecedents, there are triggers, and guess what? This is a nonverbal child. If I can't talk and tell you that I'm hungry, or if I can't talk and tell you that I am tired, and you've been in my face, not asking me to do 10 things, I'm going to frustrate you in the face to get you away from me. And I get that completely. So whenever a child is aggressive toward me, I see it as I need to respond in a way that reflects, I get it. I know what you're trying to tell me, and I'm going to adjust my story to help you have a better story. So if I could come back to Joshua's story, he has the schedule in place. I said, where's his schedule? This is what it looked like. I don't know what you think about it, but I thought, okay, they got a schedule. Gave them, right?
It's too much.
Well, guess what? They gave up on it in October because they said he wouldn't use it. Okay, now I wasn't there, so I know what that looked like, but I have to respect that they tried, right? I said, okay, so he's not using the schedule, what is he using? Well, nothing, we're just trying to, make everybody safe, and we're just trying to get him to do what we want to do. Not working. You get it?
Mhm. Okay, so let's look at Joshua's story, and I want you to jot down 4 key points that you see in his story, either that Rebecca, his teacher, tells you, or that you see in the story. And this is basically, I know the comments about, so what does this look like in real life? It's, 2 teachers with backup and 2 kids, they're in a pretend classroom for an hour and a half. What does this look like in real life? This is in real life, real time with the teachers. So we brought in some support from the district to help get things going, but they were only there for 5 days. So you are gonna see extra hands, but the extra hands are there to teach the strategies so that we can exit the people and let the strategies support the student. Yeah. But we had to teach them and help them because they still have kids in the classroom, right? You're gonna see kids behind the scenes, you're gonna see other adults, 2 paras, 1 teacher, 14 kids. So here is Joshua's story, and you're gonna get how many key points? 3, because y'all are, there you go, 3 or 4.
I'm Rebecca Cox, and I'm an ALE teacher at Civil Green Elementary School. And we have been working together to address some maladaptive behaviors for one of my students. And before we got started, he was having up to 10 aggressive incidents per day, involving scratching, choking, things like that. And so we had tried lots of different interventions, but we were having a lot of trouble getting him to use his schedule. That was, I think, our biggest problem. We just couldn't get him to use it. He was so aversive to it. And so then we had to help us, and we figured out how to get him to use his schedule by filling it first with all preferred activities, so that he just learned the system. And then we started substituting work activities in for some of the preferred activities. The first few days, even with all preferred activities, were really difficult, and the aggression spiked. Let's go check our schedule. Thank you for listening to this. Thank you. Let's go check our schedule. Thank you.
It's okay, bring it. Just bring the pencil, we'll get it later. What he's got.
What's next? Sit down. But after about 3-4 days, the aggression, the incidents started to go down. And now we've had 3 weeks with 1 aggressive incident, and he's doing very well on schedule, and he's doing at least 6 rounds of work every day. So, he's going to work.
Give me 10. 10 there, we do it, Josh, you did really good. Okay. You're finished.
When we were trying to use his schedule before, when he was having a lot of issues, we were using a transition marker with his name. But when we made some of the adjustments to the schedule, we started using Spectre. And that seemed to help her connect to the idea that that was his schedule more easily. So Joshua loves to schedule that. Initially he was trying to manipulate it. He was trying to move, like, go home to the beginning, or he was trying to take things out of order, like deferred activities out of order. But now he completely understands that he has to go through each of the activities to get to the things that he wants to do the most. So when we first started doing all these interventions, when we would go to do one of his most preferred activities, for him, that includes going inside or going to the motor lab, he wouldn't want to come back. We would have difficulty with coming back. And I was afraid that that would last forever. But over time, I think as he realized that he was going to get them throughout the day, he now comes in very easily. Almost all the time, of course, it's not that we've always used this communication device, but before we were having a lot of aggression, we were thinking that he was trying to get out of work by making these requests, and so we were denying these requests for food or things that we thought were appropriate in those moments. So after we started these new interventions, but now I can see that he felt like he wasn't being understood. He wasn't understanding that we understood and we were replying with a no. He just felt that his communications weren't going anywhere. And so he really wasn't very connected with his communication device. He would never go to it spontaneously or anything like that. And so at first, we just responded positively to as many requests as possible. Of course, there's always going to be something you can't say yes to, but as many things as possible, yes. And that showed him that his communications were being received, and he started to really connect with his communication device. And so that went on with him getting everything that he requested for a couple of weeks, and then we still give him most things that he wants or needs or is requesting, but he definitely is able to take out a lot more easily than he used to when something really truly can't be given to him. Like if he's requesting something in the cafeteria that they're not even serving, he can accept that. That's going to be a no, where before he couldn't. No. What do you need? Josh, tell me. I want. Where do you want to go? Where do you want to go? You got to get to work. Get your work. Okay.
So you can use this before the 11th, and then it's not hard time.
Oh, and now he'll wear his communication device around his neck. He will continually take it off, and he will spontaneously go to it. You don't always have to offer it to him. And he's using it for a much wider variety of things. So it's only to request certain food items. Really, before that's all he would really do, but now he will kind of comment on where we're going. We're going to the gym, we're going to the cafeteria. He will request items that he would like to play with, he'll request food. Yeah.
Before I ask you for your specific ideas that you saw, did anybody see a difference from day one
Oh, absolutely.
to 3 weeks later?
Oh, yeah.
body
It's-
language change.
It's transformative, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm gonna say a word that I hope you don't take offense to it, but the teacher, when I first met her, described him as being feral. That he was, kind of always getting what he needed and, and move everybody out of the way and so that's how she described him when I met him. And I understand why she said that, how she used that term to describe him, but she meant it in not a negative way. So you saw the beginning, you saw the end, and so tell me how we got there. What was our baseline? Communication, the lack thereof, was one of his contributing factors that caused, if not greatly caused, those incidents. Do you remember what Rebecca said at the beginning? How many?
10 a day.
At least 10 a day. What she didn't tell you was the duration and the intensity. The duration was almost always about 45 minutes to an hour. You add that up and you are doing this all day, every day. Do you know now why they were thinking you need to go to a separate classroom? Because these kids aren't learning. They're having to be evacuated all day long. It was bad. And so when I hear you talk about the kid throwing the things, I get it. So what do we do differently? Right? What do we adjust?
Yeah, physical barrier, I don't know if they had that,
I wrote that
the
down.
persons were physical barriers, and there was that partition, and they kind of like, okay, like, you moved your schedule, now we're moving the barrier, and you can come through, and I'm sure it could have been a safety and a training issue, maybe the barrier will go away, maybe the person's hugging him so close will go away.
Thank you.
I wrote proximity too. Yeah.
So we start with the fact that we're in a really bad spot. What's the next best thing to be in a better spot? And so I'm now going to give you an opportunity to add. Give me two more things that y'all saw in the video that helped him to get from that starting point to the ending point.
That he had that proximity, somebody working with him.
It's repetitiveness.
He did it, he got it. Yeah.
The schedule was for him because it had his picture on the top.
We changed that transition marker. So we revised
The picture.
We revised all the pieces that weren't working and didn't abandon them, but said, let's change them. And this is huge. So I'm going to give you all the pairing definition so that you can start to embrace that concept idea and use it for those students who are most challenging and need us the most. And that means giving more at first, then getting more at first. Giving more at first, then getting more at first. Notice the term at first, underline that as you write it. Because she also said a few things that are realistic. This is real life. The first few days, it did not go that well. Have you ever tried something and it didn't work just magically like you had hoped? It didn't work that well. We saw that the behaviors kind of even get a little bit worse, because we were trying to teach these things. But then the tide turned when we did pairing. So pairing is giving him almost a schedule filled with things he wanted to do all day. So the first week I got to be with him all day, the first 5 days. It was a blast. We did these things. Ready? We rode a bike in the hallway. We went outside to the swings. We went to the motor lab. We ate snack. We went to the break area. We went outside and did bikes. We went outside all day. His schedule, it wasn't just let's follow him around and see what he wants to do. We planned things that we knew he would want to do so that we could teach the schedule so that later, and it was just about 5 days in, we started to see a decrease in the behavior and an increase in his work. Because once he said, oh, I get this. I love the schedule now. I'm doing all the things I want to do. Then I've taught the strategy. Then we can now go, we got work right here. And in a couple of weeks, we were doing, if you remember what she said, 6 rounds of work, which meant 6 sessions at the work with teacher table or at the independent work area. That's huge for a kid who is doing 0 work and having major tantrums. So my question is this, because when we asked, why do these kids do what they do? Did he change or did we change? Both. But we had to change first so that he could show us his best self. So pairing is something we want you to take back with you in the fall, because often the beginning of the year is where we have to start with that, to get that relationship, to get that understanding, and to get that kid that looks at us like, you get me now, and I get you too, and we're going to work together.
So she did mention that he wanted to pick through the
Yes.
schedule and pull out his preferred activity. So when you told him, no, you're gonna do this work, then get your preferred activity, was he having meltdowns because you didn't give him his preferred activity he selected right there?
The first
He's
2 days.
pulling all the fun stuff, right?
The first,
So what happened?
the first day that we did pairing, that didn't happen because they were all fun stuff. But the thing that did happen is he did start to then go home and put it at the top. I love it when kids do that because that means this is powerful and I'm trying to tell you what I want to do. And then we just went, oh, you want to go home? No, we're going to go. And so we kept, I'm going to use the word negotiation because I love negotiating with kids with the strategy. Let's negotiate. Some things I can give you, some things I can't. Mom's not coming, so that's going to go back down here. But some things I can give you if it's okay. So what I want to do is this. Here is, I don't know, might be too far. Here's what happened on day 1 that you didn't see in the video, which is we were in PE and his device was huge. I don't know if anybody gets goosebumps like I do when I see that one part every single time. When he started to leave the work area, he started to push everybody out of the way. And they said, oh, use your words instead of no, go back to work, right?
Yeah.
And what did he ask for? Water. What a human thing to ask for. Even if he is trying to get out of work, you want some water? Let's honor that. So they gave him water and we went right back and he finished. For me, his communication was priority number 1. The fact that he does what we want him to do is great, but the fact that he can tell us what he needs is even better, because that's a lifelong kind of skill. But the very first day, he has his device, and we're on the bike in PE, and he kept pressing mom, 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 and I'm like, what's that mean? What is he trying to say? And they said, we don't know. And then the para, who probably knows him better, I just realized I still have things on my dress from Aurora. So cute. He kept pressing mom. The paraeducator who had this brilliant insight, she goes, oh, I know what he's trying to ask. Tuesdays and Thursdays, he leaves early to go to ABA therapy. And so she says, I think he's asking if his mom's going to come pick him up today. And I went, okay, well, let's go with that. So when we went back to the classroom, we showed him on the schedule where his mom was coming, and he quit pressing mom on his device. Oh, wow. So these kids, communication is the big key. And I could go on and on about Joshua, but I won't. Don't worry. I will just leave with this. It does take a team.
I'm gonna say something. I use that schedule, and in my classroom, I have one little girl. She's, of course, anyway, and so it wasn't snack time. She went straight to the snack time. I'm like, it's not snack time. And what ended up happening is that she was hungry. And so we gave her a snack. And that schedule works in our classroom. It works.
Beautiful.
So and it has her individual name on there and everything.
I want to take your story and I want to connect it with something else you said earlier, because I think you are more in line with negotiation when you understand that it is really in meeting their needs. Mm-hmm. It's just a different way of saying meeting their needs. And so you're doing that and you're accommodating kids all the time. End of day 1 was exhausting. We were exhausted. We made it through and it just got better and better from there. So we're going to close out this section with a mindset that we all know. We've been talking about a lot, but just with getting that physical thing going. So everybody act like a choo-choo train. Ready? It's going to be building positive momentum for positive behaviors. Ready? Building positive momentum for positive behaviors. Can we do that? Yes. Of course, because we're the best teachers ever. And it's 2 o'clock, so we have an hour to finish everything up. If you don't know what to do, go ask the person that you've been kind of working with the most. But we think we have a good game plan. Let's go back over to the room and start giving out requests, directions, help, that kind of stuff. Let's go back over to the room together and figure this out together, because we have things to do.
Even if you don't have something to do, we've got plenty.
Come on.
Yeah.
We'll try to. Yesterday, I looked at yesterday, day one, I said, well, day one, you give us a minute. Day three.
Feedback forms, she's saying that they're not allowing them to send in. Let me show you. Day one was, it allows us to submit. Here's day two, okay? Here's all of it. Then also here, you put this, don't let you do anything, I want you to read it. Come to go back up. So even if you come up here and you try to change it to.
Go back up to the top of this. Okay.
So here's the thing, it also doesn't let you send it, when it's all said and done, go like this, you hit send, and this is what it gives you.
Yes, I know, that's why I said, let's just go over and shut it down.
So you just submit.
So that's what you say, I'll be over.
Okay.
Because day one has to be. You did something different on day one, but here's day one.
Try refreshing for me.
For which one, day two, or day three?
Day two.
Okay, but here's day one, you just submit for day one.
Correct.
Okay, let's see, that's what it says. Where did that come from? You put something in there.
Oh my goodness.
It still won't let you. Look in this. There's not one way to be. Look at this, look at number one, and look at the differences you did for number one that you didn't do for 2 and 3.
Yes.
At the bottom? You can move them up?
I was sure. Just cut them off. Just a stop. That's good. Yeah, because that one. That's all. On the wall.
Okay, we're working on it, okay.
This first one, that would be the ideal situation where it is, it's significant. Because then you got them all that day, and you got to look at them and talk about it and everything. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure you were over here.
We'll get it fixed.
Okay, I'm sure you will.
Did you guys make a smaller?
She did, she didn't make it, no, she made it.
Can somebody get one?
And what do we do with these that we did yesterday?
They're supposed to fix them.
Do we put all this stuff back?
Yeah. Well, you gotta leave them alone.
All this stuff? Or we done with this?
Already did it.
Y'all making things over here? Huh? Are y'all making things?
Finish putting Velcro. Velcro on both of them.
Did they take them? Oh, yesterday, right? The ones that were
No,
going-
we did this morning.
Oh, this one?
They were in one of those little,
A big one like this or small?
one of those,
Oh, is this in here?
yeah.
You might have caused it to take something. And you're like, me.
I know you.
One of our teachers got an award. They then one.
We did the same thing. We did the same thing. On the last day.
It was fun, not bad.
Yeah, they say, you know,
No, they never got it to the I wouldn't either.
Wow.
All right, y'all see me taking a test?
Did you find them?
Tab?
No.
Did you put the red tape on the?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
When we go over there. Oh, the red tape too, we couldn't find the red tape.
It's in the.
On the one.
Well, we only took it there yesterday.
Well, we took it and nobody could find it. Wasn't there one red tape just sitting right here on this table? It was orange. It was the orange one.
It was orange right here. Did you put it right here across? I heard you say, what did you say, Chihuahuas are doing? Every kid in my room knows that word.
You got them saying,
I don't have to be. And they go home and they tell their families.
the mom is holding the.
We were teaching them Spanish.
You would ask her, you remember her?
Oh, that's so cute.
Okay, who's available?
Who's Chihuahuas?
What do you need? Okay, easy to be eliminated? So I'm guessing we can find some more here. I had one just wondering if you got that. Yeah. Easy to be eliminated.
What I get.
Here, we're just having a comment. Yes. Serenity, and then you can cut.
Yeah, one ball.
Take one stick, one for each item. And then I would put it on the bottom. On the actual, yeah, on the actual. But it's okay, let's get all this done.
classroom? Okay.
I know, it's so hard. No, they look like these. They're probably in the country. That's all right. She's working on it. Does anybody have the soft? They have soft. The female. What else did you tell me?
And you can only open it out.
It's all already uploaded on YouTube, right? It's like,
That way they can.
Yeah.
Video.
I know, right? We have some good moments.
Like fractions, you can use them for fractions.
You put it in the galvanic class and you already cut those girls.
I put it in Day One Pictures.
So video today is uploaded already. It's called Day One Picture.
Day One Pictures.
Okay. I hate to keep asking, but they'll ask me over and over.
No, it's okay. Yeah, and then there's videos in there too. We used to have our kids do their own laundry.
And my.
Hello.
Do they understand? If you have.
Yes.
Hey, everybody, and that's the video is uploaded to the Day One Picture. Okay. So you go back and see what you did.
Okay, what did you say?
Those go back to the house.
Okay, sick.
Yes.
Okay.
Six.
Those go to him.
Okay, well, I'm gonna be like.
I love that word. There.
Yes.
Concentrate.
Yeah, that's the word. Use it on Russell? But outstanding. Oh, my God.
Oh, the mail. I see. Okay, so now let's go. The mail goes to work. Or the doctor.
Shazam is the bomb.com.
Oh, it is pretty much their water.
She's on the highest level, her and her husband, but they couldn't sing at my wedding. Even though the woman that she there was calling on. And told you.
She wants me to sing at Brandon's first birthday party. We've been trying to recruit her to sing,
And she's calling you out. Yeah, one time, and all the time I had there. I was expecting for you and Tony to stand up and sing.
First start.
Yes.
I told Mommy I wanted her to serenade me.
I know. Everybody get a plate? They actually even cost like a normal, like, what is that? Something like that, cost like an hour,
Yeah, like for an hour, we paid 350 for the hour.
Yay, we're done.
and y'all have another.
Oh my God.
Like, even if you're seeing it, you're wearing like
It's not easy going to the prison.
Yeah. So they're.
Is the machine working? Yes. It is? Because it was a working. No, I think it's a tap. Oh. It wouldn't be taken out like it was white. Just a tap. And did it charge you? Is it, which worst thing when you're looking at time? Right. You just really go.
So, the next one, she's gonna talk to her. We got it, then. Good. How many people are in the video and that's all?
We do? And then the video on record. Yeah. Oh, that's.
Yeah, we got, you said. I'm sorry.
This is one of the routines for them.
Where? Are we meeting back in here? That's what I was looking for.
We actually meet in the other room and say.
Jasmine. Oh, you're telling her? 6 of this and 6 of that. But I would make a dozen or 6 of each one more. Because you know, as soon as you have this one, they're going this and the other picture that you got, 6 of this, 6. Yeah. How many of those? 6 with teacher and 6 with that. Yes.
Oh, wait, no.
No,
Yes, and then smaller.
small, yeah. You're the, you bring in the picture with you, that's there, right?
Yeah, those are, yeah. Individual.
Then there was another one, this, I was here. I would like the email number. But the rest of the last, I went to the one last. But it was just NCAA, nothing refreshing. It was the course. You know, just, she said she was gonna track.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Well, I mean, I have the.
Not. I'm gonna figure it out. I want to make sure we have, yeah. Like I said, I'll check it out. Target and Walmart.
Make sure it's right.
It's just that you do it, she was, I said, final? No, I don't.
Do we have any more pipe cleaners?
There's a whole bunch over there.
I think we have about 9 minutes before we go into the classroom for our final debrief.
We didn't even see how y'all, came up. The box.
Oh, isn't it?
They're gonna be attached to.
Oh, the one you-
Mm-hmm. I just attached it underneath the little. Everything is the beginning and then that part is the middle and the end, for the middle and then the end.
This is one who just spoke.
And then. Yeah.
All right, ladies, bathroom breaks, get whatever you need done, a drink of water, meet back in the room at 3 o'clock.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I
We're
go?
gonna be going.
Oh, no.
You know, what's wrong with this? No, go ahead.
He's still in the cold. Are you gonna come to the meeting too? or no? It's not until 7:30. Okay, that'll work.
You registering already?
So same with Kelly went.
Is there any fee?
Let's do one.
For some reason, I'm going to send a text.
Perfect, thank you so much for that. All right. Oh. 6-minute warning. Ma'am.
Okay.
And then you'll see like the big bin.
So sound is on. Sound is on. Oh. Me, Rose, all this, because pre-K No, they pull up the chairs, all the other areas. I'm like, my husband actually said,
Something different than this morning. So look around the room. What do you
Okay.
spy with your little eye that's different from this morning?
Spy something different from this morning.
The buckets on the carpet.
Okay, so let's start right here. What is one thing that's different than this
I
morning?
see the cups.
Okay, what's different about the cups?
They're bigger.
And
Easier to access.
easier to access,
And they're labeled.
They're labeled with the picture, so it's bigger, it's sticking out, it's easier to get things in, it's clearer.
next to their
It's got
name.
Another picture there. Anything else change about the schedules over there, while we're there?
Yes. These are one piece now. One long piece.
Okay, so the Velcro is in one piece, instead of having lots of little pieces. We discussed how that could be unnerving, and because it looks like something's missing if you have little pieces, so it's better to go in with a whole strip for the schedule. So it reduces some of that.
I just need to take that.
You can have it.
And she already and she still got the line.
Would you share?
Oh, I just set the buckets on the carpet. I didn't see this morning, like the little bins.
The buckets, the little bins on the carpet, so when they come in, they sit down, they have something to do, to open-ended activities to play with. I see something that makes things clearer. I see one right there. I see one over here.
All the centers are labeled.
Or Liz. I think everybody needs to say, "Oh, Liz." Oh, Liz. And Jasmine. Liz and Jasmine. There are label makers, and they added labels to all of the areas. Dilemma. Do you mind turning around? We're pointing behind you. Thank you. If you'll see, we had a dilemma because some of the pictures that were on the schedule didn't match the labels that were in the area because we added new labels. So we decided to go ahead and make the smaller icons that actually match the labels so we can make sure that it was clear. Lisa, it's your turn for an I Spy.
Well, it's a little bit cheating because I've been in here the whole time, but I spy, there's some activities over here on the work with teacher area because I believe Chris did so well today with certain activities that you saw promised for. Let's bring him over here so that we can get him to be independent possibly. If we had a third day, he could probably go over there and do some work independently. So, yeah, so he did this pretty well today already. So now let's bring it over here, practice a couple more times, see if we can get toward independence, so we can go over there. This is new, and, oh, sorry. Now, what do you notice about this task that we saw yesterday? They modified it beautifully.
It's together, like it's,
Yeah.
it's together, it's all complete, it has a place to start.
Yes, it's very clear, right? But who's done this already? There's some already in here.
Oh.
But it's not completely done?
Just kind of helping out.
Yeah, it's a starting point. We're gonna do some of these for you as a guide and also to minimize, when we saw it, Angie goes, I don't know if he's gonna do the whole thing, right away. He might, we don't know, because he did the alphabet verbally for us. But let's just help out the first time, get going, build that positive momentum. So we have now the possibility, the plan anyway.
And thinking about your activities, what is the purpose of your activity? Is it that you want to see if he knows how to match the numbers or the letters or the colors? Does he have to do 50 of them to demonstrate that? and how much, and he didn't demonstrate his love for that activity of matching colors or love so much that he would, sit there for hours to do it. But he did show us that he had that skill level. So just building some momentum is the most important thing.
And your room just looks so much more organized, there seems to be this nice, clean, clear flow.
Very cohesive.
And so it's less visually cluttered.
Yes, yes. There used to be stuff on that wall over there, right?
It helps when you don't have things on the wall, it helps you zero in on the things that are more important.
Less is more.
Less is more. What's another thing that's changed in here? Anybody? We have labels in all the areas. We've made some slight revisions on our morning meeting.
Oh, the restroom. thing.
And the restroom is fixed. If we hit the.
They
blue
had to
button-
turn the on button. And then dial it for the restroom, and now it works.
How cool.
Just those little details.
Turn it
Just
on.
those ones. Turn it on. Unplug the computer, make sure it's plugged in. Okay, so anything else y'all would want? I think that's the main parts. We're super excited. Okay. So Lindsay, what should we do before we go on?
Okay, so I think we should end on a good note talking about our wonderful kids and head back to the cafeteria and watch a couple of great clips. I know y'all didn't get to see a lot of the areas whenever they were in close quarters, so this is gonna give us a better look.
Okay, and then we're gonna say goodbye for today after that. And have a lovely evening, and tomorrow will be so much fun. Y'all are gonna have so much fun seeing these kids being successful. So let's go to the cafeteria. Yay, yay.
Oh my gosh.
So where is this? Oh,
That's you?
And I won't play you the whole Okay, sorry, real quick. Whenever they got over there, she noticed that there might be an opportunity for connection. So she asked for a cord board, which someone brought over to her. And this one said help, and it also said more, as well as 2 other things. So this is right whenever that came over.
what?
Hello. Hey, Chris. You gonna sit on that? Oh, there you go. Ooh, this one, this one.
You have to twist it to get it up out of that.
All right, so this is your second.
All of those? Okay. Will you just get that on? No more? Okay.
All right, so that's Miss Aurora. And then go ahead, anything you want to add or?
I just want to add that I was accepting approximations because sometimes she would just hit the board, but not specifically the correct one. But it was an attempt, and the second time, she didn't hit the board, but she went like this, and so I went ahead and assumed it had been, sorry, she's done, say, I want it or me.
Is
So I
she
just-
signing it more?
She was doing this more, like she, like to her test, she did it several times in different places, so I just started to shake that and think that as I want that.
Just.
All right, and then our second set, Mr. Chris, he was working at the small group table at this time with Aurora. But this was the first time we heard some of the vocalizations and connections to colors and shapes and numbers.
You are such a helper. There we go, there we got that big stand. What color is this? Which color is this? This one.
Yellow.
Oh, yellow. Yellow. What color is this?
Orange.
Okay, question. Orange, yeah. What color is this one?
Yellow.
Okay, which one is yellow?
Yellow.
Yes, right, yellow. What color is this? Triangle. That triangle is, that triangle is, what color? That triangle is,
He got caught up in the building of the house, so maybe later on, put the connection together. Okay, so we have that one, and then this was whenever he was on the floor in the, I think the home play area with the lovely guitar, and he had, in front of him is an alphabet little piece.
Zing, what is this?
I love that in between, like he would get some stuff and then he'd have like a jam session and then he'd go back to it. I really appreciated that. But I'd like to note here too, it was super informal, like obviously he's not in small group or working with the teacher. She kind of followed him there, he found this and brought it out, and that's how we realized that he had that skill already. So.
Yay, Lindsay. Well, we got really lucky by having fabulous teacher hosts, Rachel, Raquel, and having great kids. And tomorrow's going to be a super fantastic day. Lisa, is there anything we need to think about tonight besides sleeping?
Lots of sleeping, lots of good eating, and lots of taking care of yourself and your families. And therefore, I think that we have 2 minutes to do that in the order. And we want to just mention, we know that the feedback forms are not doing what we want to do, so don't worry about that. I think we got great feedback today in our debrief sessions, and we just look forward to seeing you on our last day.
Yay! Have not seen you, everybody. Y'all worked really hard and you're super wonderful. Thank you.
So is today